never expected my life to break apart over a mistranslated wine order. The restaurant hummed with the usual Friday night energy, clinking glasses, murmured conversations in a dozen languages, the soft jazz that made customers feel sophisticated even when they ordered the cheapest pasta. I balanced 3 plates on my left arm and a basket of bread in my right hand, weaving through tables with the practiced grace of someone who'd done this 1,000 times. I was nobody. Just another college student working evenings to pay rent, invisible in my black uniform, forgettable in every way that mattered, until the man in the corner booth looked at me. He sat alone, though the table could have seated 6. Dark suit, darker eyes, and an expression that made the air around him feel heavier somehow. 2 men stood behind him, equally well-dressed, equally still. Not bodyguards exactly, they were too relaxed for that. But something about them made my instincts whisper danger. I delivered my plates, smiled at table 7, and tried not to glance back at him. "Excuse me." His voice cut through the ambient noise like a blade through silk. Accented Italian, maybe, but perfect English. I turned. "Yes, sir? I need someone who speaks German. Now." His jaw was tight. One hand rested on the table, fingers drumming once, twice, then stopping as if he'd forced them still. "I can ask the manager." "There's no time." His eyes locked onto mine, and I felt pinned. "A business associate just arrived. He speaks no English. I speak no German. This meeting cannot fail." Behind him, the restaurant door opened. A broad-shouldered man in an expensive coat entered, flanked by his own set of silent companions. His eyes scanned the room until they found my corner booth customer, and something cold passed between them, even across the distance. My customer's jaw tightened further. "Please." The word sounded foreign in his mouth, like he rarely said it. I hesitated. "I speak German, a little. My grandmother." "Come here." Not a request. I shouldn't have. Everything in me said, walk away, get the manager, pretend I hadn't heard. But there was something in his face, not panic exactly, but a crack in whatever iron control he usually maintained. And I'd been raised by a grandmother who believed helping others was a duty, not a choice. I approached the table. The German man arrived at the same moment, and suddenly I was standing between 2 men who looked at each other like chess masters studying a board. The air turned electric. "Tell him," my customer said quietly, "that the shipment terms are acceptable, but the timeline is not. We need 3 additional weeks." I translated, my grandmother's careful lessons stumbling back to me through years of disuse. The German man's expression didn't change. He responded in rapid, clipped sentences. "He says the timeline is fixed," I said, turning back. "His people have already made arrangements. Changing now would cost him—" I searched for the word, Glaubwürdigkeit. Credibility. My customer's fingers drummed once more. "Tell him I'm not asking. I'm informing him of reality. 3 weeks, or we discuss alternative partnerships." The temperature in the booth dropped 10 degrees. I translated. The German man's response was longer this time, and harder. "He says you're in no position to threaten him," I whispered. "He knows about the problem in—" I stumbled over a city name I didn't recognize. "He says you need this deal more than he does." Something dangerous flashed in my customer's eyes. When he spoke again, his voice was softer, which somehow made it worse. "Tell him that everyone has vulnerabilities. His daughter, for instance, seems to enjoy the Munich nightlife. It would be unfortunate if someone brought her recreational choices to her mother's attention." My stomach dropped. "I can't." Translate. I did, hating every word. The German man's face flushed. He stood abruptly, said something harsh, and turned to leave. "Wait," my customer started. But the man was already walking away, his guards following. Silence fell over the booth like a suffocating blanket. Then my customer turned those dark eyes to me, and I realized I'd just witnessed something I was never supposed to see, something that made me a liability. "What's your name?" he asked. "I should get back to work." "Your name?" "Elena." It came out barely audible. "Elena." He said it slowly, like he was memorizing it. "You speak German. You're quick. You don't panic easily." "I'm just a waitress." "No." He studied me with an intensity that made my skin prickle. You're a witness. Which means, Elena, that you and I now have a problem. One of his men shifted behind him. A bulge under his jacket that hadn't been obvious before suddenly was. My hands started shaking. I won't say anything. I don't even know what I heard. You heard enough. He leaned back, considering me like a puzzle he was deciding whether to solve or destroy. Come outside with me. No, it wasn't a request. And I'm not going anywhere. Fear gave me a backbone I didn't know I had. You can't just... I can. His voice was flat. Final. But I'm giving you the dignity of walking out yourself. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. The restaurant continued around us, oblivious. Jazz played. Customers laughed. My manager was across the room, completely unaware that my entire life had just capsized. I thought about running, about screaming, but his men were watching every exit, and something in his expression told me that making a scene would only make things worse for everyone around me. Please, I whispered. I have a grandmother who depends on me. I'm nobody. I don't matter. You matter now. He stood, buttoning his suit jacket with deliberate calm. Outside, Elena. Last chance to do this quietly. My legs moved without permission, carrying me toward the back exit where deliveries arrived, where no customers would see, where anything could happen, and no one would know until it was too late. The night air hit my face, cold and sharp. The alley was dark except for a single streetlight that barely reached us. A black car waited, engine running. I turned to face him, backing against the brick wall, because there was nowhere else to go. What are you going to do to me? He stepped closer, and I realized how tall he was, how completely I was trapped. That, he said softly, depends entirely on what you say next. I pressed my spine against the brick, feeling every rough edge through my thin uniform. The man stood 2 feet away, close enough that I could see the exact moment his expression shifted from threat to something more complicated. What's your full name? He asked. Elena Volkov. His eyebrow raised slightly. Russian? My grandmother emigrated in the 70s. I'm American. But you speak German. She made me learn. Said the world was bigger than one language. My voice shook despite my best effort. Please, I don't want trouble. I'll forget everything I heard. You can't forget. I can see it in your face. You're already trying to puzzle it out. He tilted his head, studying me. You're wondering what kind of shipment requires 3 weeks. What business makes men carry guns? What I could possibly do to that man's daughter that would make him turn pale. I said nothing, because he was right. My name is Dante Salvatore. He said it like it should mean something. It didn't, but I nodded anyway. You're afraid of me, he continued. That's smart. But you're also still standing here, which means you're not afraid enough. Or you're too stubborn to show it. Something almost like approval flickered across his face. Which is it, Elena Volkov? I don't know what you want me to say. The truth would be refreshing. Fine. I lifted my chin, surprising myself. I'm terrified. But running would just make you chase me, and screaming would get other people hurt. So I'm standing here hoping you're not actually going to kill a waitress in an alley over a business deal. Silence stretched between us. Then, impossibly, his mouth curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. Carlo, he said, not taking his eyes off me. Background check. Everything. One of his men pulled out a phone and stepped away, already typing. You're investigating me? I tried to sound outraged instead of terrified. I'm deciding whether to let you live. He said it so matter-of-factly that it took a moment to register. That requires information. I'm a student. I work 40 hours a week. I take care of my grandmother. There's nothing interesting about me. We'll see. Carlo returned faster than seemed possible. He murmured something in Italian, too quick and quiet for me to catch. Dante's expression didn't change, but something in his posture relaxed incrementally. Elena Volkov, 23, linguistics major at Columbia. Orphaned at 6, raised by maternal grandmother Nina Volkov. No criminal record. No debt beyond student loans. No social media presence worth mentioning. He recited it like a grocery list. No boyfriend, no close friends, no one who would notice if you disappeared. The last part made my blood freeze. But, he continued, also no connections to rival families, no history of betrayal, no reason to sell information. He paused. You're exactly what you appear to be. Invisible. Then let me stay that way. Too late. He stepped closer, and I felt the wall against my back again. You know my face now. You've seen me negotiate. You've watched me threaten a man. That makes you dangerous, Elena. Even if you don't mean to be. So what are you going to do? His eyes traveled over my face, lingering on details I couldn't imagine mattered: the freckle by my left eye, the scar on my chin from a childhood fall, the way I was biting my lower lip without realizing it. I'm going to give you a choice, he said finally. Option 1. You come work for me. Translation services. The meetings where I need German, Russian, any language you speak. You'll be paid well. Very well. But you'll belong to me, in the sense that you don't discuss what you see or hear with anyone, ever. And option 2? You disappear. His voice was utterly calm. Not violently. I'm not a monster. But you'll need to leave New York tonight. Leave your life, your grandmother, your education. Start over somewhere I'll never find you. That's not a choice. That's extortion. That's reality. He wasn't apologizing. I can't have you walking around knowing what you know, free to talk to police or rivals or journalists. So either you're useful to me, or you're gone. Choose. My mind raced. Leave Babushka, drop out with 1 semester left, run from everything I'd built, but stay and work for a man who threatened daughters and carried guns? How do I know you won't hurt me? I whispered. You don't. He said it simply, honestly. But I can tell you this. I don't harm people who are loyal to me. I protect them, fiercely. His hand rose, and I flinched, but he only braced it against the wall beside my head. Not touching me, just close. You'd be under my protection, Elena. No one would touch you. No one would dare, because I'd be your property, because you'd be mine. The word hung in the air between us, weighted with meanings I didn't want to examine. I need time to think. You have 30 seconds. That's not fair. Fairness is a luxury. His eyes held mine. Time's passing. I thought of Babushka in her rent-controlled apartment, depending on my income, of my thesis, so close to finished, of the life I'd scraped together from nothing. I thought of disappearing into some distant city, alone and hunted. If I say yes, I managed, what exactly would I have to do? Translate. Attend meetings. Keep your mouth shut. He paused. Live. That's all? That's everything. Something in his tone made me look up sharply. There was a flicker of something in his expression, not cruelty exactly, more like recognition, like he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. 15 seconds, he said softly. My hands were shaking again. If I say yes, can I at least finish my semester? If you say yes, you finish your degree. I'll pay the tuition. Why would you do that? Because I want you focused, not resentful. An educated translator is more valuable than a terrified one. He tilted his head. And because despite what you think, I'm not interested in destroying your life, only controlling the parts that affect mine. It was the strangest reassurance I'd ever received. 10 seconds. I need to call my grandmother. After you decide. Rabide. This is insane. 5 seconds. I closed my eyes. Thought of all the ways this could end badly. Thought of all the ways running would end badly. Opened my eyes and found him still watching me with that unreadable expression. Yes, I breathed. I'll do it. He didn't smile. Didn't look triumphant. He just nodded once, pushed off the wall, and gestured to the car. Then let's go. You have a contract to sign. Now? Now. He opened the car door. Welcome to my world, Elena. Try not to die in it. The car smelled like leather, and something expensive I couldn't name. I sat rigid in the back seat, while Dante settled beside me with the ease of someone who'd ridden in 1,000 identical vehicles. Carlo drove. The other guard sat in front, passenger, silent as stone. Where are we going? I tried to keep my voice steady. My office. At 10 o'clock at night? I don't keep bankers' hours. He pulled out his phone, typed something rapidly. Your manager has been informed you had a family emergency and won't be returning. You'll receive 2 weeks severance. You can't just... I already did. I stared at him. Do you always make decisions for people without asking? Yes. No hesitation. No apology. The city blurred past the tinted windows. We drove away from my neighborhood's familiar chaos into progressively quieter, wealthier streets. Buildings became taller, cleaner, the kind of area where doormen wore actual uniforms and security cameras watched every corner. The car descended into an underground garage beneath a building I recognized from the skyline. Salvatore Tower. 40 stories of glass and steel, home to dozens of legitimate businesses, and apparently, whatever Dante Salvatore actually did. We took a private elevator that required a keycard. No buttons inside, just smooth panels, and a mirror that reflected my terrified face back at me. I looked small next to Dante. Young. Breakable. He caught me staring at my reflection. Breathe, Elena. I am breathing. Barely. He straightened his cuffs. No one here will hurt you. You're with me now. That means something. What does it mean exactly? The elevator doors opened before he could answer. The office was enormous. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Manhattan like a kingdom laid out for inspection. Dark furniture, expensive art, bookcases filled with volumes in multiple languages. A desk that probably cost more than my entire year's tuition sat in the center of it all. But what caught my attention was the man already waiting. He was younger than Dante, maybe early 30s, with lighter hair and an easier smile. He stood when we entered, his expression curious. So this is her? He spoke English with a faint Italian accent. The waitress who saved your German deal? Marco, meet Elena Volkov. Dante gestured between us. Elena, my cousin and consigliere, Marco Salvatore. Consigliere, I repeated. Advisor, Marco translated, still smiling. I keep this one from making too many impulsive decisions, though apparently I'm too late tonight. He studied me with open interest. You speak German? And Russian, some French. Useful. He glanced at Dante. She knows what she's agreeing to? She's learning. Then let me help educate her. Marco moved to a cabinet, poured 3 glasses of something amber, brought one to me. Welcome to the Salvatore family, Elena. We're not what you think we are. What am I thinking? Mafia, he said it casually, like discussing the weather. Criminals. Gangsters from some movie. Am I close? I clutched the glass, not drinking. Aren't you? We prefer businessmen with complicated portfolios. His smile widened. But yes, if you're asking whether we break laws, extort cooperation, and occasionally make people disappear, then yes, we're exactly what you think we are. Dante shot him a look. You're not helping. I'm being honest. She deserves that much. Marco sipped his own drink. The question, cousin, is whether she can handle honesty. Some people prefer comfortable lies. I found my voice, though it came out smaller than I wanted. What happens if I can't handle it? Then you'll be uncomfortable for a while, Dante said. But you'll adapt. People always do. He moved to his desk, pulled out a document. This is your contract. Read it carefully. I set down the untouched glass and took the papers with shaking hands. The terms were typed in dense legal language, but certain phrases jumped out. Exclusive translation services. Non-disclosure agreement binding in perpetuity. Monthly compensation of $15,000. I looked up sharply. $15,000 a month? You'll earn it. Dante's expression was unreadable. The meetings won't always be pleasant. Some of them will be dangerous. You'll see things you wish you hadn't. And if I want to quit, you don't. He said it simply. Once you sign, you're committed for 5 years minimum. After that, we'll renegotiate. 5 years? My voice rose. I thought this was just translation. It is. But the information you'll be exposed to requires long-term assurance of your silence. He paused. Read section 7. I found it. In the event of contract breach, termination, or betrayal, Party B agrees to forfeit all compensation and accept exile from New York metropolitan area, with additional consequences determined at Party A's discretion. This is insane, I whispered. This is protection, Marco corrected. For you as much as us. Once you sign, your family. That means resources, security, support. But it also means loyalty. Absolute loyalty. I looked between them. What if someone tries to hurt me? To get information? They'd die. Dante said it with such casual certainty that I believed him. You'd be under my personal protection. Anyone who touched you would be declaring war on this family. Why would you protect me that thoroughly? I'm nobody. You became somebody the moment you stepped into that booth. He moved closer, took the contract from my shaking hands. You're valuable now, Elena. Rare language skills, no competing loyalties, and apparently nerves of steel despite your fear. I don't let valuable things break. I'm not a thing. No. His eyes met mine. You're a person who's about to make a choice that will define the rest of her life. So I'll ask you one final time, do you sign or do you run? Because this is the last moment the door is open. I thought of Babushka, of my thesis, of the life I'd imagined safe, ordinary, invisible. Then I thought of $15,000 a month, of finishing my degree without crippling debt, of having resources I'd never dreamed of belonging to something, even if that something was dangerous. If I sign, I said slowly, do I get to keep living my normal life? Classes, apartment, seeing my grandmother? Yes, with 2 additions. Dante ticked them off on his fingers. 1. You'll have a security detail. They'll be discreet, but always present. 2. You'll carry a phone I provide. When I call, you answer. When I need you, you come. No exceptions. And when you don't need me, your time is your own. Marco set a pen on the desk between us. Heavy, expensive. The kind of pen that signed important things. I picked it up. It felt like holding the weight of the future. Sign at the bottom of page 12, Dante instructed. And welcome, Elena, to the Salvatore family. The pen touched paper. My hand moved in the familiar loops of my signature. When I finished, the silence felt different. Heavier. Marco raised his glass. To new partnerships. Dante didn't toast. He just folded the contract, placed it in a safe behind his desk, and turned back to me with an expression I couldn't read. Carlo will take you home. Tomorrow morning someone will deliver your new phone and security details. Classes start at what time? 9. Your guard will be outside by 8:30. Get used to having shadows. He paused. And Elena, don't make me regret this. I won't. See that you don't. He gestured to the door. Go home. Rest. Your new life starts tomorrow. I left on unsteady legs, feeling the weight of that signature following me like a ghost. The security detail arrived at 8:15. I watched through my apartment window as a black SUV parked across the street, unmarked but obvious. 2 men inside, both wearing sunglasses despite the overcast morning. One was Carlo from last night. The other was a stranger. My new phone had arrived at 7, delivered by a courier who said nothing beyond, sign here. It was sleek, expensive, and when I turned it on, had exactly 3 contacts saved. Dante Marco. Emergency. Carlo. I held it like a bomb. Babushka shuffled into the kitchen, her walker squeaking on the linoleum. She'd been a tall woman once, before age bent her spine. Now she barely reached my shoulder. You're nervous this morning, she observed in Russian, pouring her tea. And there are men outside watching our building. There. I searched for an explanation that wasn't a lie. Protection. From my new job. Her sharp eyes fixed on me. What kind of job requires protection? Translation services. For a security company. Close enough to the truth to not taste bitter. Important clients. Sensitive information. She didn't believe me, but she also didn't press. Babushka had learned in her youth when not to ask questions. This job pays well? Very well. Well enough to stop working yourself to exhaustion? Yes. She nodded slowly. Then I will not complain about men in cars. She patted my hand with papery fingers. But if you are in danger, Elenochka, you tell me. We run together, yes? Like we did before. My throat tightened. We'd run before from my father's debts, from men who'd wanted to collect what he owed in other ways. Babushka had smuggled us across 3 states with nothing but 2 suitcases and fierce determination. I'm safe, I promised, hoping it was true. I'm just important now. They want to keep me safe. Important is dangerous. But she kissed my forehead. Go to school. Learn. Come home. This is what matters. I grabbed my bag and headed downstairs. hyper-aware of the SUV's door opening as I emerged. Carlo fell into step beside me with the casual ease of a bodyguard who'd done this 1,000 times. "Morning," he said. "I'll drive you to campus." I usually take the subway. Not anymore. The ride was silent, except for the radio playing soft jazz. Carlo navigated traffic with professional precision, dropping me at Columbia's main entrance exactly at 8:50. "I'll be here when you're done," he said. "Don't leave campus without calling first." "What if I need to get coffee?" "I'll come with you." "That's insane." His expression didn't change. "That's the job." My day proceeded in a strange split reality. In one world, I was still ordinary Elena, attending lectures, taking notes, eating lunch with classmates who complained about assignments. In another invisible world, I was something else, someone being watched, protected, owned. The phone rang during my linguistics seminar. Dante appeared on the screen. I slipped out into the hallway, heart pounding. "Hello? Meeting tonight, 7 o'clock. Carlo will brief you on details." His voice was all business. "Wear something professional. Dark colors. I have a study group at 7. Cancel it." The line went dead. I stood in the empty hallway, staring at the phone. This was my life now. His calls, his schedule, his control. The building looked legitimate, a downtown consulting firm's offices, all glass doors and marble floors. But the men inside wore the same expression as Dante's guards, watchful, dangerous. Carlo led me to a conference room where Dante waited with 3 other men. They stopped talking when I entered. "Gentlemen, this is Elena Volkov, my new translator." Dante gestured for me to sit beside him. "Elena, this is Mikhail Petrov and his associates, Russians." I recognized the Moscow accent immediately. The meeting was supposed to be straightforward, negotiating territory for some shipping operation I didn't fully understand. But as I translated back and forth, I began to piece together the real conversation happening beneath the polite words. They were dividing parts of the city, not for shipping, for something else. "Tell him," Mikhail said in Russian, "that the Brooklyn docks are not negotiable. My people have been there for 20 years. We won't give them up for his convenience." I translated, softening it slightly. Dante's jaw tightened. "Inform him that the docks are already mine. His people are there by my courtesy, which can be revoked at any time." This time I translated exactly, because something in Dante's tone told me softness would be interpreted as weakness. Mikhail's expression darkened. He responded in rapid Russian, too fast for comfort. "He says you're overstepping," I relayed carefully. "That the Russian families remember when the Salvatores were small. That power shifts, and arrogance leads to funerals." The temperature in the room dropped. Dante stood slowly. Everyone else stood with him. The casual meeting transformed into something else, a standoff. "Tell him," Dante said quietly, never taking his eyes off Mikhail, "that I'm not my father. I'm not interested in old alliances or historical courtesy. The docks are mine. He can accept this and will continue doing business. Or he can test me and discover why even the old families fear the new Salvatore." I translated, my voice steadier than I felt. Mikhail stared at Dante for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, he laughed. "Your translator is very brave," he said in accented English, switching languages deliberately. "Most would soften such words. She gives them to me exactly as you say them. She knows better than to alter my meaning." "Good. I hate translators who think they are diplomats." Mikhail sat back down, still smiling. "The docks are yours, but I want compensation. 20% increase in my cut from the Bronx operations. 15%. Done." Mikhail extended his hand. "You are indeed not your father. He would have made this uglier." They shook. The tension dissolved. Business resumed as if the threat of violence had never existed. But I'd seen it. The moment when everything could have gone wrong. When words I translated might have sparked something irreversible. The ride back was silent until Dante spoke. "You did well tonight. I just translated." "You translated without fear, without hesitation, even when the conversation got dangerous." He glanced at me. "Most people would have panicked, started softening words, trying to prevent conflict. You told me to translate exactly. Point. And you listened. That's rarer than you think." He paused. How much did you understand about what we were actually discussing? I considered lying. Enough to know it wasn't about shipping routes. And I'm pretending I don't know more than that. His mouth curved slightly. Smart. We pulled up to my building. The street was quiet, but I noticed another car parked nearby. Different from the morning SUV. Dante noticed too. Carlo, check it. Carlo was out of the car instantly, approaching the vehicle with practiced caution. He returned moments later, expression tight. Petrov's men, just watching. They followed us? I asked. They're making a point. Dante's voice was calm, but his hand had moved to something under his jacket, showing me they can find where you live. Fear spiked through me. Why would they do that? Because leverage is currency in my world, and you, Elena, are now my leverage point. He turned to face me fully. Go inside. Lock your door. Don't open it for anyone except Carlo or me. Understood? They're going to hurt me because I work for you. They're going to threaten to hurt you to control me. There's a difference. His eyes were hard. But they won't succeed. I'm doubling your security detail. From now on, someone will be stationed in your building's lobby overnight. This is insane. This is reality. Welcome to it. He opened my door. Go. Now. I climbed out on shaking legs. The strange car's windows were too dark to see inside, but I felt eyes on me. Carlo walked me to the door, his hand on his weapon. Inside, Babushka looked up from her knitting. You're pale. Long day, I managed. And the men are still outside. Yes. She set down her needles. Elenochka, what have you gotten us into? I couldn't answer, because I was asking myself the same question. The next 2 weeks fell into a rhythm that felt both normal and surreal. I attended classes, studied, translated at increasingly tense meetings where men with dangerous eyes negotiated over territories I'd never known were being fought over. Carlo became my shadow, professional and silent. The overnight guard in the lobby, a man named Vincent, brought coffee for Babushka every morning, winning her over despite her suspicions. And Dante called, not just for meetings, sometimes for questions, sometimes just to check that I was safe. Did Petrov's men leave your street? He'd ask. Yes, 3 days ago. Good. A pause. Sleep well, Elena. Then he'd hang up, leaving me staring at the phone and wondering why a man who owned half of New York cared whether I slept well. On Thursday, everything shifted. I was leaving my linguistics seminar when Carlo intercepted me with unusual urgency. Change of plans. Dante needs you. Now. I have a paper due. Now, Elena. The drive took us to a different building. Residential. Luxury apartments in Tribeca, where each unit probably cost millions. Carlo led me to the penthouse elevator. Why are we here? I asked. Dante will explain. The elevator opened directly into an apartment that made his office look modest. Massive windows overlooked the Hudson, furniture that belonged in magazines, art on the walls that I recognized from textbooks. And Dante, standing in the middle of it all, looking more disheveled than I'd ever seen him. His jacket was off. His shirt sleeves rolled up, dark circles under his eyes suggesting he hadn't slept. Thank you for coming, he said, dismissing Carlo with a gesture. We need to talk. About what? About the fact that you're not safe in your apartment anymore. My stomach dropped. What happened? This morning, someone accessed your building's basement, left something in your storage unit. He pulled out his phone, showed me a photo. A dead rat, throat cut, lying on top of my grandmother's old suitcases. I felt sick. Message from Petrov? I whispered. No. Smaller organization. The Calabrese family. He pocketed the phone. They're trying to make me look weak. Targeting you is the easiest way to do that. So what do? Leave New York? No. His voice was firm. You stay, under my protection. Here. I looked around the penthouse. Here? In your apartment? It's the most secure location I control. Full-time security. Controlled access. No one gets in without my permission. He moved closer. I have 3 bedrooms. You'll have your own space. Your grandmother too, if she agrees to come. You want us to move in with you? I want you alive, Elena. This is how I ensure that. This is insane. I paced away from him. I can't just uproot my life. Your life is already uprooted. The moment you signed that contract, the moment people realized you mattered to me. He followed me. This isn't a request, it's a necessity. What about my grandmother? She'll never agree to live with a stranger. Then convince her. Because the alternative is me posting guards in your apartment 24 hours a day, which will terrify her more than relocating. He was right. I hated that he was right. How long would this be for? Until the threat is neutralized. Could be weeks. Could be longer. He paused. I know this isn't what you wanted, but it's what's necessary. I sank onto his expensive couch, head in hands. This wasn't supposed to be my life. I know. His voice softened. But it is now, and I'm trying to keep you safe within it. Why? I looked up at him. Why go to all this trouble? I'm just a translator. You could find another one. Not like you. He sat in the chair across from me, expression unreadable. You don't flinch. You translate exactly what's said, even when it's dangerous. You're smart enough to understand the subtext, but disciplined enough not to react to it. He leaned forward. And whether you realize it or not, Elena, you've become important to more than just my business dealings. What does that mean? It means I don't let important things break. The same words he'd used before. Pack what you need. I'll have movers handle the rest. You'll be settled here by tonight. Babushka took it better than I expected. So we are running again, she said simply, folding her clothes with practiced efficiency. At least this time we run to luxury instead of away from poverty. You're not afraid? Afraid? Elenochka, I was a child when my parents fled the Soviet Union. I raised you alone when your parents died. I have seen worse than Italian gangsters. She smiled slightly. And this one. He sends men to bring me coffee. He pays for your school. These are not the actions of someone who wishes us harm, but we'd be living in his home, under his control. We are already under his control. At least this way we have nice kitchen. She patted my cheek. Trust your babushka. I know dangerous men. He is dangerous. Yes, but not to us. To us, he is protection. I wanted to argue, but she'd survived more than I ever had. Maybe her instincts were better than mine. The penthouse felt different at night, larger, emptier. Despite the expensive furniture and perfect lighting, it had the feeling of a place where someone lived but didn't really exist. My room was beautiful king bed, private bathroom, a window seat overlooking the city. Babushka's room connected to mine through a shared sitting area she'd already claimed with her knitting basket. Dante had disappeared into his own room after the movers left, giving us space to settle. I couldn't sleep. At midnight, I wandered into the main living area, drawn by the view. Manhattan glittered below like scattered diamonds. Can't sleep either? I spun. Dante stood in the kitchen doorway, barefoot and wearing just dark slacks and a white shirt unbuttoned at the collar. More human somehow, without his armor of suits and guards. Sorry, I didn't mean to disturb you. You didn't. He moved to the windows, standing a few feet away. I usually don't sleep much anyway. Why not? Habit. When you're responsible for an organization like mine, you learn to sleep light, and not long. He glanced at me. You look exhausted. It's been a complicated few weeks. I know. I'm sorry for that. The apology surprised me. You're sorry? For pulling you into this. For the danger. For uprooting your life. He turned to face me fully. If I could have left you in that restaurant, invisible and safe, I would have. But I can't change what happened. Would you really have let me run, that first night? He was quiet for a long moment. I don't know. I told myself I would. But looking at you, seeing how you translated without fear, I think I would have found a way to keep you regardless, even if it made me a worse man than I want to be. Why? Because I recognized something in you. His voice was low. You're a survivor, Elena. Like me. You've built a life from nothing, protected someone you love, made yourself useful, so the world can't discard you. I understand that. Respect it. Is that why you're protecting me? Professional respect? No. He moved closer, and I felt the air change between us. It stopped being professional the moment I decided you'd live here. In my space, under my watch, his eyes held mine. This is personal now. Whether either of us wanted it to be. My heart was racing. I don't understand. You don't have to. Not yet. He stepped back, breaking the moment. Go to sleep, Elena. You're safe here. That's all that matters. He disappeared back into his room, leaving me alone with the city lights and a feeling I couldn't name. Something between fear and something far more dangerous. 3 weeks in the penthouse taught me things I'd never wanted to know. I learned that Dante took his coffee black at 6 a.m., standing by the window like he was surveying a kingdom. That he spoke to his mother every Sunday in Italian, his voice softer than I'd ever heard it. That sometimes he came home with blood on his cuffs he tried to hide before I saw, and failed. I learned the rhythm of his world. Morning meetings, legitimate business, usually safe. Afternoon calls, negotiations, territory discussions, the chess game of power. Evening visits when dangerous men came to the penthouse. When I'd hear raised voices from his office and Carlo would station himself near my door. And late nights, when he couldn't sleep. When I'd find him by the windows, staring at a city he controlled but couldn't rest in. We'd started talking during those nights. Not about business. About small things. Books we'd read. Languages we knew. The strange isolation of being essential but not quite belonging anywhere. Did you always know you'd run this? I asked one Tuesday night, nursing tea while he drank scotch. Always. My father groomed me from childhood. There was never another option. He swirled his glass. Did you always know you'd raise yourself? No, I thought my parents would do that. But life doesn't care what we expect. No, he agreed. It doesn't. Babushka watched our growing. Friendship? Whatever it was, she watched with knowing eyes and said nothing. Just smiled when I'd returned to my room after midnight. Cheeks flushed from conversations that felt more intimate than they should. The crack appeared on a Friday. I'd been reviewing documents for a meeting when Dante stormed into the apartment, fury radiating off him. Carlo followed, unusually tense. What happened? I asked. Betrayal. Dante's voice was ice. One of my captains has been selling information to the Calabrese family, putting all of us at risk. Do you know who? I know everything. He poured a drink with shaking hands the first time I'd seen his control slip. I know who. I know when. I know exactly how to handle it. Then what's wrong? What's wrong is that he's been with this family for 15 years. I trusted him, promoted him, and he sold us out for money he didn't even need. He drank the scotch in one swallow. It's the trust that's the problem, Elena. The betrayal of it. I'd never seen him like this. Vulnerable. Raw. What will you do to him? What I have to. He met my eyes. Do you want to know the details? Or do you want to keep your conscience clean? I hesitated. I don't know. Smart answer. He set down the glass. Go to your room. I have calls to make. Things you shouldn't hear. But I didn't move. Are you okay? The question seemed to surprise him. Why would you ask that? Because you look like someone just broke something inside you. And I trailed off, not sure how to finish. You what? I care. It came out barely audible, whether I should or not. I care if you're hurt. Silence stretched between us. Dante stared at me like I'd spoken a language he didn't understand. You shouldn't, he finally said, care about me. I'm not a good man, Elena. I know what you are. Do you? He moved closer. Do you really? Because I don't think you understand what I'm capable of. What I've done. What I'll do tonight to the man who betrayed me. You'll hurt him. I'll destroy him. His voice was flat. His life. His family's standing. Everything he built. I'll dismantle it piece by piece until there's nothing left but the lesson. And that's supposed to scare me away? It should. I stepped closer instead. It doesn't. Elena. His control was fraying. I could see it in his eyes. You don't know what you're saying. Yes, I do. My heart hammered against my ribs. You're dangerous. You're controlling. You've trapped me in a life I never wanted, but you've also protected me, honored your promises, cared about my grandmother. And right now, you're hurting, and I'm the only one here who sees it. You're seeing what you want to see. No. I reached out, touched his chest lightly, felt his heart racing beneath expensive fabric. I'm seeing you. He caught my wrist, gentle but firm. If I touch you right now, I won't stop. Do you understand? Everything I'm feeling, the rage, the betrayal, the need for control, it'll all pour into this. Into you. I'm not afraid of you. You should be, but I'm not. Something in him broke, or maybe surrendered. He pulled me closer, his other hand cupping my face with surprising gentleness. Tell me to stop, he breathed. Tell me this is a mistake, that you're just being kind, nothing more. I can't. Why not? Because it would be a lie. He kissed me, not gently, not carefully, like a man drowning and I was air. His hands tangled in my hair, tilting my head back, claiming my mouth with a desperation I'd never expected from him. I should have been frightened, should have pulled away. Instead, I kissed him back. He lifted me, literally lifted me, and carried me to the couch, settling me across his lap without breaking the kiss. His hands mapped my body through my clothes, shaking slightly, like he was fighting for the control he always maintained. Elena, he groaned against my mouth. Stop me, please, before this goes too far. I don't want to stop. You don't understand what you're starting. Then show me. His eyes locked onto mine, dark and desperate. If I do this, if I touch you the way I want to, you become mine in ways the contract never covered. Do you understand? Not just my translator. Not just under my protection. Mine. The word should have terrified me. Instead, it sent heat through my entire body. I know, I whispered. He kissed me again, softer this time, almost reverent, like he was memorizing the taste of me. Then his phone rang. We both froze. The sound shattered the moment like glass. Dante closed his eyes, pressed his forehead to mine. I have to take this. I know. He eased me off his lap, straightened his clothes with practiced efficiency. When he answered the phone, his voice was back to steel. Carlo, status? I couldn't hear the response, but I watched Dante's expression shift. Back to the man who ran an empire, away from the man who'd kissed me like I was salvation. Handle it. I'll be there in 20 minutes. He hung up, looked at me. I have to go. The situation with my captain escalated. Be careful. Always. He paused at the door. Elena? What happened just now? I know. We'll talk when you get back. Will we? Something vulnerable flickered across his face. Or will you realize what a mistake this is, and lock your door? I won't lock my door. You should, but I won't. He stared at me for a long moment. Then he was gone, and I was alone with the taste of him still on my lips, and the knowledge that everything between us had just irrevocably changed. He came back at 3 a.m. I was still awake, unable to sleep, when I heard the door. Footsteps. The sound of him removing his jacket in the entryway. I found him washing blood off his hands in the kitchen sink. Not his blood. He wasn't injured, but there was so much of it. You're still awake, he said without looking up. I was worried. You shouldn't be. This is what I do. I moved beside him, turned off the water, took his hands in mine. They were clean now, but shaking slightly. It's done? I asked quietly. It's done. Do I want to know details? No. I held his hands, feeling the tremors he was trying to hide. Are you okay? I'm fine. I'm always fine. Dante. He finally looked at me. I've hurt people tonight. Badly. Irreversibly. And you're standing here holding my hands like I'm not a monster. You're not a monster. You don't know that. Yes, I said firmly. I do. He pulled me into his arms, buried his face in my hair, not sexually, just holding on. Like I was an anchor in a storm, only he could feel. We stood like that for a long time. Then he pulled back, kissed my forehead gently. Go to sleep, Elena. Tomorrow, everything will be different. He was right. Everything already was. I woke to find an envelope under my door. Inside, a single card in Dante's precise handwriting. Dinner tonight. Just us, 8 p.m. Wear something that makes you feel beautiful. My hands shook holding it. The day crawled past. I attended a morning meeting, some shipping negotiation that felt trivial after everything. Studied half-heartedly. Avoided Babushka's knowing looks. At 7, I stood in front of my closet, paralyzed. A knock. Elenochka, may I come in? Babushka entered, took one look at me, and smiled. So, tonight is important. I don't know what to wear. I do. She pulled out a dress I'd forgotten I owned, deep navy, simple but elegant, something I'd bought for a college event I'd never attended. This one, it makes your eyes brighter. Babushka. I don't know if this is a good idea. Why not? Because he's dangerous. Because this isn't a normal relationship. Because I'm terrified. She cupped my face. When your grandfather courted me, he was soldier, dangerous man, complicated man. Everyone told me to be afraid. Her eyes were soft. But I saw who he was when the armor came off. I saw the man. And I loved him anyway. This is different. No, my darling. It never is. She kissed my forehead. Go. Be young. Be brave. Let yourself feel something other than fear for once. At 8, I emerged to find the penthouse transformed. Candles on the dining table, wine breathing in crystal decanters, and Dante, standing by the windows in a dark suit, looking at me like I'd stolen his breath. Elena. My name in his mouth sounded like prayer. You look. Is this too much? I touched the dress self-consciously. No. He moved closer. It's perfect. You're perfect. I'm not. To me, you are. He offered his arm. Shall we? Dinner was surprisingly normal. Pasta he'd made himself, my grandmother's recipe, and conversation that flowed easier than it should between a mobster and the woman he'd essentially kidnapped. We talked about everything and nothing. Books, music, the strange isolation of being caught between two worlds. Do you miss it? I asked. Normal life? Before all of this? I never had normal life. He refilled my wine. I was 7 when I watched my father kill a man. 10 when I made my first collection. 15 when I understood I'd never escape this. He paused. Do you miss it? Sometimes. Then I remember how exhausted I was, how afraid, how alone. I met his eyes. Now I'm just afraid in different ways. Are you afraid right now? I considered lying. A little. Of me? Of what happens next. What do you think happens next? I don't know. That's what scares me. He stood, offered his hand. Come here. I took it, let him lead me to the couch. We sat close but not touching, the space between us charged with everything unspoken. I'm going to be honest with you, he said, because you deserve that much. I want you, Elena, not just physically, though God knows I do. I want you in my space, in my life, in ways I've never wanted anyone before. My breath caught. But, he continued, I also know what I am, what this life is, and I won't trap you in something you'll regret. His hand found mine, so I'm giving you a choice. Right now, tonight. What choice? You can walk away from this. From us. I'll still protect you. Still honor the contract. But I'll stop. Wanting. I'll give you distance. His thumb traced circles on my palm. Or you can stay. Let this be what it's becoming. And accept everything that comes with it. Everything? My world. My darkness. The danger. The violence. The fact that you'll be mine in ways that terrify both of us. His eyes were intense. I won't be gentle with your heart, Elena. I'll protect it fiercely, but I'll also claim it completely. If that's not what you want, tell me now. My heart hammered. And if I choose to stay, then I'll spend tonight showing you exactly what you mean to me. The words hung between us. I could feel the weight of the decision, how it would shape everything to come. I'm afraid, I whispered. I know. Not of you, of how much I want this, want you. My voice shook. I shouldn't. It's wrong, complicated, dangerous. All true. He cupped my face. But do you want it anyway? I closed my eyes. Thought of every reason to say no. Every logical argument against this. Then I thought of his hands washing blood off. His voice soft with his mother. The way he looked at me like I was something precious, in a world that had stopped being precious to him long ago. Yes, I breathed. I want this. I want you. Something in his expression broke open. Elena, but I need you to know I don't know what I'm doing. I've never. I trailed off, embarrassed. Understanding dawned in his eyes. You've never been with anyone? I shook my head. Good. His voice was fierce. Then I'll be the only one. The only man who touches you. Who knows you? Who claims you? That should sound possessive. It is possessive. He pulled me onto his lap, positioned me so I was straddling him. I told you I wouldn't be gentle with your heart. This is what I mean. You'll be mine, Elena. Completely. Do you understand? Yes. He kissed me then, deep and claiming. His hands mapped my body with trembling restraint, like he was fighting himself. Tell me to stop, he groaned against my mouth. Tell me you're not ready. I can't. Why not? Because I am ready. I pulled back to look at him. I trust you. Despite everything, I trust you. Something like pain flickered across his face. You shouldn't, but I do. He stood with me in his arms, carried me to his bedroom, set me down gently on sheets that smelled like him. If you want to stop, he said, kneeling beside the bed. At any point, you tell me. Understood? I understand. And Elena? His hands found the zipper of my dress. This changes everything between us. You know that? I know. He undressed me slowly, reverently, like I was something sacred he was unwrapping. When I was bare before him, vulnerable and trembling, he just looked at me. You're so beautiful, he whispered. So perfect. I'm not. To me. He kissed my collarbone. To me, you're everything. What happened next was slow, careful. He mapped every inch of me with hands and mouth, finding places I didn't know could feel like that. When I gasped or trembled, he'd pause, check, make sure I was okay. Please, I finally whispered, though I wasn't sure what I was asking for. I know. He positioned himself above me. This might hurt. Tell me if it's too much. It did hurt. But his hands were gentle, his voice soft in my ear, telling me I was brave. I was his. I was safe. And then the pain faded into something else. Something that built and built until I broke apart in his arms, crying his name like salvation. He followed moments later, my name on his lips like prayer. After, we lay tangled together, his hand tracing patterns on my spine. Are you okay? He asked quietly. I'm perfect. Did I hurt you? No. I pressed closer. You made me feel. I don't have words for it. Try. Safe. Claimed. Yours. I looked up at him. Is that what you wanted to hear? Yes. He kissed my forehead. Because you are. Mine. In every way that matters. That should scare me. But it doesn't. No, it doesn't. He held me tighter. Get some sleep. Tomorrow everything will be different again. Better different? I don't know. His voice was honest. But we'll face it together. I fell asleep in his arms, feeling safer than I'd felt in years, wrapped in the protection of a dangerous man who'd somehow become my entire world. I woke to gunshots, not close somewhere in the building, but unmistakable. The sound shattered the pre-dawn quiet like breaking glass. Dante was out of bed instantly, pulling on pants, grabbing a gun from the nightstand I hadn't known was there. Stay here, he ordered. Lock the door after me. Don't open it for anyone but me or Carlo. What's happening? I don't know yet. He was already moving. Stay with your grandmother. Keep her calm. Then he was gone, and I was alone with my racing heart and the sound of more shots echoing through the building. I threw on clothes, ran to Babushka's room, found her sitting up in bed, surprisingly calm. It has started, she said simply in Russian. What has started? Whatever your young man has been preparing for, whatever storm he saw coming. She patted the bed. Come, we wait. We trust he protects us. More shots. Closer now. Shouts in Italian I couldn't quite make out. My phone, Dante's phone, buzzed. Stay in the bedroom. Under the bed if possible. They've breached the lobby. My hands shook, typing back. Who? Calabrese's family. Full assault. Carlo is coming to you. The door burst open. I screamed before recognizing Carlo, blood on his shoulder, gun in hand. Move, he barked. Both of you. Safe room. Now. What safe room? I asked. He didn't answer, just grabbed Babushka with surprising gentleness and pulled us both into the hallway. Behind a painting in Dante's office was a hidden door. Behind that, a steel-reinforced room with monitors showing every angle of the penthouse. Stay here, Carlo ordered. Don't come out until Dante or I come for you. And I mean that. Someone else opens this door. You hide and pray they don't find you. Where's Dante? Handling it. He was already leaving. He'll come for you. Trust that. The door sealed shut with a hiss. Babushka and I were locked in a gray room with supplies and screens showing violence I'd only seen in movies. On the monitors, I watched them come. Men in dark clothes, professional and armed. Too many. They moved through the building like they'd practiced, knew the layout, and Dante, meeting them in the main living area. Just him and Marco, outnumbered, but not outmaneuvered. I couldn't hear what was being said, but I saw the moment negotiations failed, the moment violence began. I'd never watched someone I loved fight for their life before. Every punch, every shot, every desperate move made my breath stop. Marco went down, not dead, but injured. Dante pulled him behind cover, kept fighting. More of his men arrived. The fight shifted, became brutal, became survival. Turn it off, Babushka said quietly. You don't need to see this. I can't look away. Then remember, Elenochka. Remember that this is his world. This is what you've chosen. I watched Dante kill a man, watched him do it without hesitation, without mercy, because that man was between him and us. Watched him become the monster he'd warned me he was, and felt my heart break not because I stopped loving him, but because I loved him anyway. It took 40 minutes. When the safe room door finally opened, Dante stood there, alive, covered in blood, some his, most not. His eyes were wild, desperate. Elena, he pulled me out, checked me over with shaking hands. You're okay? You're hurt? I'm fine. You're bleeding. I'm fine. I need to. He pulled me into his arms, held me so tight I could barely breathe. They came for you. They knew you were here. They were going to take you, hurt you, to hurt me. But they didn't, because I stopped them. His voice was rough. Because I killed them before they could touch you. I pulled back to look at him, really look at him. At the blood, the exhaustion, the fear he was trying to hide. How many? I asked quietly. Elena, how many did you kill? For me? Does it matter? Yes, 5. He said it flatly. 5 men died tonight because they threatened you. And I'd kill 50 more if I had to. 100. However many it takes to keep you safe. This is my fault. No, he cupped my face. This is the Calabrese family's fault. This is the consequence of their ambition, not yours. Carlo appeared, holding his injured shoulder. Perimeter is clear. We've got people cleaning up. Police won't be a problem the precinct captain owes us. Good. Dante didn't take his eyes off me. Get Marco to the doctor. Secure all entry points. I want triple security until further notice. Already done. Carlo nodded to me. She stayed calm, kept her grandmother calm. You chose well, boss. After he left, Dante led me to the bathroom, started cleaning blood off his hands, his face. I took the cloth from him, did it myself. Let me, I said softly. We didn't speak while I cleaned him, while I catalogued the cuts that needed attention, while I tried not to think about how close I'd come to losing him. I watched you, I finally said. On the monitors. I saw what you did. I'm sorry you had to see that. I'm not. I rinsed the cloth, started on a cut above his eyebrow. I'm glad I saw. Glad I understand now what it costs you. Protecting me. Protecting this family. It doesn't cost me anything. You're worth every drop of blood spilled tonight. That's not romantic, Dante. That's terrifying. I know. He caught my hand. But it's also true. You want honesty? Here it is. I'm not a good man. I never will be. I'll do terrible things to keep you safe. Things that will give you nightmares. And I won't apologize for any of it. I know. And you'll stay anyway? I looked at him, this man who'd killed for me, bled for me, broken every rule of his careful control to protect me. This man who was exactly what he'd warned me he was. Yes, I whispered. I'll stay. Why? Because I love you. The words came out before I could stop them. Even after tonight. Especially after tonight. I love you. Something in his expression shattered. Elena, you don't have to say it back. I just needed you to know. In case something happens. In case. He kissed me, desperate, claiming. When he pulled back, his eyes were suspiciously bright. "I love you," he said roughly. "So much it terrifies me. So much I'd burn the world down to keep you safe. Do you understand? You're not just mine anymore. You're everything. That's too much pressure. I don't care." He rested his forehead against mine. "You're everything. My weakness. My strength. The only thing in this world I couldn't survive losing. You won't lose me. Promise me. After tonight, after what you saw, promise me you won't leave." "I promise." He held me like that for a long time, just breathing. Just existing in the space we'd carved out in his violent world. Later, after doctors had come and gone, after the apartment had been cleaned and secured, we lay in his bed watching dawn break over the city. "What happens now?" I asked. "War," he said it simply. "The Calabrese family declared it tonight. Now we finish it. Will it ever end? The violence?" "No." He was honest. "This is my world. Our world now. There will always be another threat. Another family trying to take what's mine. How do you live like that? By holding tight to what matters." He pulled me closer. "And you matter more than anything. More than territory. More than power. More than my own life." "Don't say that. It's true. If choosing between this empire and you meant letting it all burn, I'd light the match myself." "You don't mean that. Test me and see." I looked up at him, at this man who'd become my everything, my protector, my captor, my love. "I don't want to be the reason your world burns." "You won't be," he kissed my hair. "You'll be the reason I fight to keep it. The reason I win, because losing isn't an option when you're what's at stake." Outside, the city woke to violence it would never see, to a war being fought in shadows by men like Dante, and I lay in his arms, understanding finally what I'd truly chosen. Not safety, not normal life, but love in the only form someone like him could offer it. Fierce, possessive, dangerous, and somehow, despite everything, exactly what I needed. The war lasted 3 weeks. I didn't see most of it. Dante kept me locked in the penthouse, surrounded by guards, while he dismantled the Calabrese family piece by piece, but I felt it. In his absence, in the way he'd come home later and later, more blood on his clothes, less light in his eyes. Marco recovered, though his arm would never be the same. Carlo worked triple shifts. Vincent, the guard who brought Babushka coffee, disappeared one night and never came back. He died protecting one of our supply routes, Dante told me. Voice flat, empty, quick, painless, better than most get. I cried for Vincent, for a man I'd barely known who'd been kind to my grandmother and died in a war I'd helped start. "This isn't your fault," Dante said, holding me while I sobbed. "It feels like it is." "Then you don't understand yet. This would have happened eventually. The Calabrese family has been moving on our territory for months. You were just the excuse, the spark, but the fire was already built." On the 18th day, Dante came home early, clean, uninjured, and exhausted in a way that went deeper than physical. "It's over," he said. "Matteo Calabrese is dead. His sons fled to Chicago. The family is broken." "You killed him?" "Yes." "Do you want to talk about it?" "No." He poured a drink with steady hands. "I want to take you to dinner. Somewhere normal. Somewhere that doesn't smell like blood and gunpowder. Is that safe?" "Now it is. We won, Elena. Manhattan is ours. No one will touch you now." But I heard what he didn't say. "No one will touch you because they're too afraid of what I'll do in return." The restaurant was small, Italian, family-owned, the kind of place where the owner knew Dante by name and seated us in a corner booth without being asked. We ordered, ate, made small talk that felt almost normal, until I asked the question I'd been holding for weeks. "Do you regret it, meeting me that night?" Dante set down his fork. "That's a complicated question. I have time for a complicated answer." He was quiet for a long moment. "I regret that you saw violence, that your life was endangered, that you lost your innocence about what my world really is." He reached across the table, took my hand. "But regret meeting you, knowing you, loving you? Never. Even if loving me makes you vulnerable? Especially because of that." His thumb traced circles on my palm. I've spent my entire life being untouchable, unmovable, above emotion, and it made me effective, but it also made me empty. He met my eyes. You filled something I didn't know was hollow. And yes, it makes me vulnerable, but it also makes me human. Is that what you want? To be human? I want to be yours. If that requires being human, then yes. My throat tightened. I don't know if I'm strong enough for this life. You've already proven you are. You stayed. Through fear, through violence, through watching me become the monster I warned you about. You stayed. Because I love you. Because you're brave. He squeezed my hand. Braver than most of my soldiers. Braver than I deserve. What happens now? After the war? Now? He smiled slightly. Now we build something. I've been thinking about it. About us. About what comes next. And I want you to finish your degree. Really finish it. Not just pass classes while surviving. I want you to have the life you were building before I interrupted it. He paused. I also want you to move out of the penthouse. My heart dropped. You want me to leave? No. God, no. He realized how it sounded. I want you to have your own space. Your own apartment safer than before. Fully secured, but yours. So you're not trapped in my world 24 hours a day. So you have room to breathe. I don't want to leave you. You wouldn't be leaving. You'd be choosing to come back. Every time. That's different. His eyes were intense. I don't want to own you through circumstance, Elena. I want you to choose me. Every day. Freely. What if I choose to stay in the penthouse? Then you stay. But the option exists. The choice is yours. I thought about it. About having my own space. About studying without guards watching. About coming home to him because I wanted to, not because I was locked in. I want both, I said finally. My own apartment. But nights with you. Is that allowed? Anything you want is allowed. He lifted my hand, kissed my knuckles. You're not my prisoner, Elena. You never were. You're my choice. And I want to be yours. You are. Then we build from there. 2 months later, I walked across the stage at Columbia graduation. Babushka cried. Marco whistled. Carlo, standing guard near the exits, actually smiled. And Dante sat in the front row, looking at me like I'd hung the moon. After, at the celebratory dinner he'd arranged, he gave me a small box. What's this? I asked. Open it. Inside was a key. Not to the penthouse, I already had that. Something else. Apartment 2 floors below mine, he explained. Completely separate. Your space. Your rules. But close enough that I can get to you in 30 seconds if needed. You bought me an apartment? I bought us balance. He was watching me carefully. Do you like it? I threw my arms around him. I love it. I love you. Good. He held me tight. Because you're stuck with me now. Graduate degree and all. What if I want to use this degree? Work as a translator professionally? Then you work. I'll provide clients. Vetted, safe ones. You build the career you want. I just get to keep you safe while you do it. That's too good to be true. That's me, learning to share control. He pulled back, looked at me seriously. I'm trying, Elena. To give you freedom within safety. To let you be more than just mine. To let you be yours too. Is it working? I don't know yet. Ask me in a year. Later that night, in my new apartment that was mine but also near him, I stood at the windows looking at the city. Manhattan glittered below. Somewhere in those lights, Dante's empire continued running. Men made deals. Threats were negotiated. Violence simmered beneath the surface of civilization. But up here, I was safe. Loved. Free in the way that mattered most. Free to choose this life. This man. This complicated, dangerous, beautiful thing we'd built together. The door opened. Dante, using his key because I'd given him one immediately. You're thinking too much, he observed. I'm thinking that 6 months ago, I was a waitress, afraid of everything. And now I'm a graduate, a translator, the girlfriend of the most dangerous man in New York, and somehow, impossibly, happy. He came up behind me, wrapped his arms around my waist. Girlfriend is a very tame word for what you are. What would you call it? Everything. He kissed my neck. My everything. My weakness. My strength. My reason. That's a lot of pressure. And yet you handle it beautifully. I leaned back against him. Are you happy? Really? I don't know if men like me get to be happy, but I'm content. I have you. I have peace. For now. I have something to fight for beyond just power. He held me tighter. That's more than I ever thought I'd have. Even with all the violence, the danger, even with it, he turned me to face him. I won't lie and say it's over. There will always be another threat, another war. That's the price of what I am. I know. And you'll stay anyway? Yes. I cupped his face. I'll stay. I'll fight. I'll be strong enough, because I love you. I love you. He said it like a vow. My fierce, brave, impossible Elena. You're the best thing that ever happened to my dark world. Then let's keep building light in it together. He kissed me as the city watched, as his empire hummed, as our dangerous, beautiful, complicated life continued spinning forward. And I knew, with absolute certainty, that I'd made the right choice. 6 months later, I sat in a conference room translating for a Russian oligarch who wanted to discuss import arrangements that definitely weren't legal. Dante watched from his position at the head of the table, expression unreadable. But when the oligarch's eyes lingered on me too long, Dante's hand moved to the table, a subtle shift that made the man look away immediately. Possession, protection, both. The meeting ended well. Money changed electronic hands. Territory was divided. Everyone left satisfied. You handled Volkov perfectly, Dante said when we were alone. Even when he tried to unsettle you with that question about your family, I learned from the best. I gathered my notes. Though I still don't love translating for people who traffic in things better left unsaid. I know, but you do it brilliantly anyway. He pulled me close. Dinner tonight? Real dinner, not business? I have a study group, working on my master's application. Master's degree? He smiled, ambitious. You encouraged ambition. I encouraged you to be more than just mine. I'm glad you listened. But the peace didn't hold perfectly. It never did. A week later, I came home to find Dante in my apartment, standing by the window with that expression I'd learned meant trouble. What happened? I asked. New family moving into the Bronx. The Russos from Philadelphia. They're making noise about expanding into Manhattan. Will there be another war? Not if I handle it correctly. He turned to me. But it means more meetings, more negotiations, more nights I come home late, smelling like tension. I can handle that. Can you? He moved closer. Because I need you to be honest, Elena. If this life is too much, if the constant threat, the violence that's always just beneath the surface, if it's breaking you, tell me now. It's not breaking me. Are you sure? Because I see it sometimes. In your eyes, the fear, the weight of loving someone like me. I took his hands. Yes, I'm afraid sometimes. Yes, this life is harder than anything I imagined. But I'm not breaking. I'm adapting, growing, becoming strong enough to stand beside you. You shouldn't have to be this strong. But I am, and I choose to use that strength here, with you, for us. He pulled me into his arms. I don't deserve you. Probably not. I smiled against his chest. But you're stuck with me anyway. 3 months later, the Russo situation came to a head. They'd tried to muscle in on one of our key operations. Dante had warned them. They'd ignored the warning. So he made an example. I didn't see it happen, but I read about it in the news. Gang violence in the Bronx leaves 3 dead. The article was vague, the police statement vaguer. But I knew. Dante came home that night carrying the weight of it. They left me no choice, he said, staring at his hands like he could still see blood on them. They were going to hurt my people. Your people now. I know. Does it bother you, knowing what I did? Yes. I was honest, but I understand why, and I know you'll carry the weight of it even if I forgive you. You forgive too easily. I forgive you. There's a difference. I took his hands. I'm not forgiving violence. I'm accepting that this is who you are, what you do, and choosing to love you anyway. That's too generous. That's love. He looked at me with such raw emotion I almost looked away. How did I get so lucky? You terrified a waitress in an alley and gave her no choice but to fall in love with you. Best decision I ever made. A year after that night in the restaurant, Dante took me back to the same place. Same corner booth, same wine. But everything felt different now. I've been thinking, he said after we ordered. Dangerous activity. He smiled slightly. About us. About the future. My heart started racing. What about it? About the fact that you've built a life here. In my world. Despite everything. He reached across the table. About the fact that I want you to stop being my translator, my consultant, my occasional girlfriend. Occasional? I raised an eyebrow. Poor word choice. He pulled out a small box, set it on the table between us. I stared at it. Dante, I'm not proposing. Not yet. He opened it, revealed a ring simple, elegant, beautiful. But I'm asking you to consider it, to think about what it would mean, being my wife, not just living in my world, but ruling it with me. Ruling is a strong word. Being my equal in it, then. My partner. In everything. His eyes were intense. I'm asking if you could see that. Eventually, because I can't see any future that doesn't have you in it. I looked at the ring. At him. At the life we'd built in blood and determination and love. Yes, I whispered. I can see it. I want it. Even knowing what it means. The danger that never ends. The violence that's always lurking. Even knowing. I touched the ring gently. Because I also know the man beneath it. The one who protects fiercely. Who loves completely. Who's trying, every day, to be better than what he was raised to be. I don't know if I'll ever be good enough for you. You don't have to be good. You just have to be mine. He slipped the ring onto my finger. Not an engagement ring. A promise ring. A symbol of intention. Someday soon, he said. I'll ask you properly. With a speech. With everything you deserve. I don't need speeches. But you'll get them anyway. He lifted my hand, kissed the ring. Because you deserve every beautiful thing. Even from a man like me. 2 years after that night in the alley, I stood in front of the mirror in my apartment. Master's degree complete. Translation business thriving. Relationship solid. And a small diamond on my left hand now because 6 months after the promise ring, Dante had proposed properly. On a rooftop. At sunset. With words that made me cry. We'd set a date. Small wedding. Just family. You look happy, Babushka said from the doorway. I am. Even knowing what you're marrying into? Especially knowing. I turned to her. He's a good man. Babushka. In ways that matter. Where it counts. I know. She smiled. Your grandfather would have liked him. Both dangerous. Both devoted. Both willing to burn the world for the women they loved. Is that romantic or terrifying? Both. Always both. That night, Dante and I sat in the penthouse watching the city. Do you ever regret it? I asked. That night in the restaurant? Meeting me? Every day, he said seriously. Then smiled at my expression. I regret that you got pulled into danger. That you had to see violence. That you lost your innocence. He pulled me closer. But regret knowing you? Loving you? Building this life with you? Never. Even though I make you vulnerable? Especially because of that. You made me human again, Elena. Gave me something to fight for beyond power. Gave me a reason to be better than what I was. I didn't change you. You absolutely did. He kissed my temple. I'm not the man I was before you. I'm better. Weaker. More dangerous and more gentle. All because of you. That's too much credit. It's exactly the right amount. Below us, the city pulsed with life. Somewhere in it, threats still existed. Wars still simmered. Violence waited in shadows. But up here, we had peace, love, a future we'd carved out of danger and determination. I love you, I whispered. I love you, my fierce, impossible, brave Elena. Thank you for choosing this life, for choosing me. Thank you for giving me the choice. We sat in comfortable silence, watching our kingdom spread before us. Imperfect, dangerous, beautiful, ours.